suspension of open meetings laws issued on March 16, 2020. This regular school board meeting of the West ISD Board of Trustees will be conducted by a video conference and telephone call. The video conference will be audible to the board and public and allow for two-way communication. The Board of Trustees will not charge for the meeting on the video conference or phone. A recording of the meeting will be available on the West ISD YouTube channel at www.westisd.net. Public access to this meeting is the link found on the West ISD. Link to the online agenda is also available on the calendar post. Any public comments must be submitted between 8 a.m. on Monday, November the 9th and 4 p.m. on Tuesday, November the 10th, 2020 by emailing the comments to publiccomment@westisd.net. All public comments will be submitted to this email address and will be read to the Board of Trustees for consideration. It is now 6:42 on Wednesday, November the 11th, 2020. At this time, I'll call the meeting to order and verify that a quorum of board members is present. This meeting has been duly called and notice of this meeting has been posted in accordance with the Texas Open Meeting Act, Texas Government Code, Chapter 551. This time, I'd ask you to please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance, followed by the prayer, both led by Reverend John Crowder.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Our Father God, we want to thank you for your blessings. We thank you for the way in which you watch over us each day. Lord, we lift up Mr. Truitt to you. Pray that you would bring healing and strength to him, that you'd watch over his family. Lord, we ask your blessings on our meeting tonight and pray that you'd help us to overcome all the obstacles and to communicate clearly and to understand one another, to arrive at consensus on important decisions, and that ultimately when we make a decision, we pray that it would be in accordance with your will and might bring you glory. We pray in Jesus' name, amen.
Thank you. This time we'll have the oath of office for the new board trustees, places 1 and 2. Larry Sparks, board president, Sandra Kettler, notary public. Sandra,
we're going to have to get creative since we're on Zoom. I saw Mrs. Kettler. Sandra, if you'll turn on your video. And I think the easiest thing to do is have Dr. Sparks and Ms. Crawshaw each do it separately. And then we'll get them back on the board, or still on the board. So why don't we do Dr. Sparks first?
Okay, I'm unmuted. My video will not open up. So as long as he can hear me, I'm okay.
Yeah, I can hear you, Sandra.
Okay.
All
right, Larry, raise your right hand. Repeat after me. In the name and by the authority of the state of Texas.
By the name and the authority of the state of Texas.
I, Larry Sparks, do solemnly swear.
I, Larry Sparks, do solemnly swear.
That I will faithfully execute the duties of the office of.
That I will faithfully execute the duties of the office of.
West ISD Board of Trustees, Place 1.
West ISD Board of Trustees, Place 1.
Of the state of Texas.
Of the state of Texas.
And will to the best of my ability.
And will to the best of my ability.
Preserve, protect, and defend the Constitution and laws.
Preserve, protect, and defend the Constitution and the laws.
Of the United States and of this state, so help me God.
And the Constitution and the laws of the United States and of this state. So help me God.
Very well. Thank you.
Thank you, Sandra.
Congratulations, Dr. Sparks. All right, Ms. Crawshaw.
I'm here.
All right. Raise your
You
right
ready?
hand and take it away, Mrs.
Raise your
Kettler.
right hand. Okay. Please repeat after me. In the name and by the authority of the state of Texas.
In the name and by the authority of the state of Texas.
I, Lee Crawshaw, do solemnly swear.
I, Lee Crawshaw, do solemnly swear.
That I will faithfully execute the duties.
That I will faithfully execute the duties.
Of the office of.
Of the office of. Secretary.
West ISD Board of Trustees, Place 2. You got
Board
it.
of- West ISD, what'd you say?
West ISD Board of Trustees, Place 2
West ISD Board of Trustees, Place 2
of the state of Texas,
of the state of Texas,
and will to the best of my ability
and will, to the best of my ability,
preserve, protect, and defend
preserve, protect, and defend
the Constitution and laws
the Constitution and laws
of the United States
of the United States
and of this state, so help me God.
and of this state, so help me God.
Very well, thank you.
Woo! Congratulations, Ms. Crawshaw. And we'll get everything signed and notarized as soon as you guys can get by the office with Ms. Kettler there. So thank you, Mrs. Kettler, and congratulations to both of you in this most unusual oath of office here on Zoom. Appreciate you both, and congratulations on still being a part of the Board of Trustees. Go Larry and Lee.
All right, this time we'll reorganize the Board of Trustees officers. The West ISD Board has 3 office positions: president, vice president, and secretary. At this time, we'll open the floor for nominees for the office of president of the school board. After all positions have been filled with nominations, then we will vote en masse on those.
I move to
The floor
nominate
is
Larry
open for-
Sparks as president.
Okay. Larry Sparks has been nominated for the office of president of West ISD School Board.
I second.
Again, Larry Sparks has been nominated for the position.
I second
Been
that.
seconded. Are there any other nominees for the position of president? Again, I'll repeat, are there any other nominees for the position of president? Since there are no other nominations, the nomination process is closed on president. Now for the office of vice president. Are there any nominations for vice president?
I move to nominate Holly Willis as vice president.
I second.
Okay, the nomination has been made for, are there any other nominations for the office of vice president? Again, are there any other nominations for the office of vice president? If not, the nomination ceases for the office of vice president. The office of board secretary, floor is open for nominations for that position.
I
Are there
nominate
any
Lee
nominations
Crawshaw.
For the secretary. Oh, who said that?
I said I
Holly, did
nominate
you
Lee
say that?
Crawshaw. Yes.
Okay, Lee Crawshaw has been nominated. Again, Lee Crawshaw has been nominated. And I think I heard a second on that too. Was that you, Mike?
Yeah, I'll second that.
Who seconded? Okay, all right. Are there any other nominations for the office of secretary of West ISD? Since there are none, the nominations will cease. Your nominees are for President Larry Sparks, Vice President Holly Willis, and Board Secretary Lee Crawshaw. All those in favor of adopting these positions for the coming year, please show of hands or say aye.
Aye.
Okay. I think that was everybody.
Dr. Sparks, I'm sorry, but point of order, you're going to have to do each one individually as the agenda is done. So you could
Okay,
Yeah.
president, then vice president, and secretary.
all right.
Thank you, sorry.
All right. Office of President, Larry Sparks. All those in favor, please show of hands.
That's everybody.
Okay, very good. The office of Vice President to be filled by Holly Willis. All those in favor, please show of hands.
That's everybody.
All those in favor of Lee Crawshaw being the board secretary secretary, please show of hands. Everybody. Very good. Thank you very much, each and every one of you. That now brings us to the audience. Do we have anybody that needs to speak?
No, sir. Nobody submitted anything.
David, did you have anybody sign up or ask? Amanda? Okay.
No, sir, you're good.
Okay, that brings us to agenda item number 8, which is an action item. And that
David.
is the consent agenda.
Wait, the
What?
way the agenda is written, David, it says that we vote on all of them. Next. It's under C. It says the following officers were selected and it gives all the positions and then we make the motion for the new officers. Or is that just a typo?
That was the way we discussed it the other day, Lee.
Oh, so both ways are in there. So we just need to take that one out.
Are you talking about on your board minutes?
Is that
Yeah,
not?
the board
already in there?
minutes? No, we did
I
them
didn't-
individually. So just
I
mark.
didn't compare them. Sorry. Okay.
No, you're
Go ahead.
fine. The one that does all of them together, mark through that one.
Okay. Sorry, didn't compare.
No, you're fine.
Okay, 7.
Okay, 7 is the audience. No one signed up to speak. Agenda item number 8 is an action item. It's consideration and possible action by the board. You've had opportunity to look those over. Are there any questions about the consent agenda? Okay. If not, the floor is open for a motion to consider the consent agenda as presented with the exception of 8B2A, payment to Secor Family Ford for $299.76.
So moved.
Motion to address. Okay, motion's been made. John, I think, did you second it? Okay, motion's been made and seconded. All those in favor of the consent agenda with the one exception, by show of hands or saying aye. Floor is now open for a motion to address the consent agenda item 8B2A, payment to Secor Family Ford for $299.76.
So moved.
Is there a motion? Mike's made the motion. Need a second? John Crowder's going to second it. Okay, all those in favor, please show of hands or say aye. Okay,
One abstention.
one abstention. Okay, 6 with 1 abstention. All right, thank you very much. That brings us to agenda. Mr. Truitt.
All right, for item number 9, board administrative and campus reports. As always, if there's anything you want us to pull from any of the reports, just let us know. I pulled 3 items that I thought would be of interest to you. I wanted Ms. Adams to share an update on our landmark student Chromebook initiative for grades 6 through 12. And as you know from my emails and texts and pictures, it came on October 30th. The guys tech team's been working hard to get them barcoded. The agreement's out, and just wanted Amanda to share where we are in the project.
Yes, sir. As Mr. Truitt said, all of our Chromebooks have been readied and barcoded. We have all the serial numbers. We have our charts with all the students on it, and we are in the final day tomorrow of the push to get all of the user agreements back, because on Friday we will be handing out our first levels Chromebooks. We're very excited. 12th graders, of course, will get those first. So Friday's 12th grade, and then we will have all of the Chromebooks that have a user agreement signed by out to students by Wednesday of next week. And that gives us 2 days to do any makeups or anything like that. I'm very excited. The onboard process, we're working with teachers. They've agreed to help us in certain areas. We're giving an instructional video where we'll all be there with the kids and make sure they understand some processes as we roll the Chromebooks out. And then the fun begins with us working with students and teachers on the best practices of using that device to as an instructional tool. And so we're very excited. We've had a great response from our parents. We've gotten a lot of phone calls and talks through things. And so that's been very good. And I'm a huge shout out to our tech team and Francis for as far as they turned that around so quickly from October 30th to having all, 700 of those ready to go out to kids in such a short amount of time. Just to them again, very exciting times.
I also want to add that we heard from TEA and our hotspots that we ordered are, and maybe since I've been out with COVID, are they in?
Yes, sir. I've handed out 2. They came in on, what's today, Wednesday? They came in on Monday, and I had a list, and there were 2 families who were ready to go, and we got those in their hands today.
Wonderful news. So everything's fallen into place. We'll have those hotspots for checkout if we have families in need that don't have the access they need at their homes. Again, our challenge will be if those hotspots won't work even at their homes. So remember, we still have that hill to climb with some of our families. But this is great news. So all 800 are here ready to go, and we have the hotspots. So it's a banner day in instructional technology in West ISD. I'm going to let Amanda also share about Proclamation 2020 with our next round of adoption materials.
Very quickly, I had a typo. That's actually Proclamation 2021, so I apologize for that. This proclamation is we will prepare all year this year and put in place next year. It's all for pre-K materials, and it's been quite a number of years since pre-K adoption has come around. And so we're excited to work with all our pre-K teachers, and we'll also include some kinder teachers because we need that bridge to help us make decisions on the different adoption choices. By the end of this school year, we'll have that choice made, giving us time to get materials in and in teachers' hands prior to school starting and have training for them. So pre-K is the only area this year that we will be looking at. So Proclamation 2021.
All right, and the last report item that I pulled out is I wanted Mrs. Cosner to share how Reading Fest went, because she had to re-envision the entire event and go virtual. So she sent me a handout that I'm going to put up on the shared screen so that you guys can see what she's talking about as she goes through the different items. So take it away, Mrs. Cosner.
Okay, so our event was last night, but we actually kicked off a few weeks ago. This teacher started preparing for it. So each grade level chose a theme, and they sent out to parents just asking for any donations that had to do with that theme. So for example, pre-K, their theme was Christmas, and they asked for any holiday related items and collected that from students. And we had multiple baskets in several grade levels because they collected so much they couldn't fit it all in one basket. So even though we only have 7 grade levels, we ended up with 14 baskets. One of those baskets also, I didn't put that on here, it ended up being from Child Nutrition. Kathy Garrett called me, I don't know, a couple of weeks ago, and she just thought the basket idea was really cool. And so she and her team got together and they went on their own and spent their own money and put together a baked goods basket for us. And one of their favorite dessert, or one of our favorite desserts that they make are these like little Hello Dolly bars is what she calls them. And so she put the recipe and all the ingredients to make that in the basket with like measuring cups and whisks. And it was really cool for them to do that. But so they donated that as well. And the money raised actually goes directly back to the classroom teachers that got all the collections. And this year, you can see on there, we raised $10,296, which is triple what we raised last year, just from $1 raffle tickets. So thank Jenny Tacker. She counted $10,001 bills. But you divide that by the 30 teachers and they each get $343.20 to spend in their classroom. And they're really excited about that. You know how much money they spend just buying items for kids, setting up their classrooms, helping like think of ornaments that can be keepsake ornaments for the holidays. There was one teacher, I know even Miss Browder, a couple of weeks ago, I watched her and she had been kind of asking kids what they were going to dress up for or as for Halloween. And Halloween day, I noticed every single kid in her room had a costume and went and checked, and sure enough, she had bought costumes for all the kids in her room that didn't have one. So they just spend a lot of their own money. So this is great for them. But that was the money raised. So the scavenger hunt, the way it worked, last Friday afternoon, we sent home with each student, and there were 10 different places or locations or things they needed to do. We wanted to make it engaging for families, but we didn't want kids that weren't going to get to travel to not get to have fun with this. So it would be something like take a picture with the WT. Well, some kids might just have a shirt at home that has a WT, but some kids might have gone to Trojan Field. So they just got as mobile as they wanted to with that. Anyway, so they did those 10 items or 10 things on the scavenger hunt. And then last night was the night that they found their teachers in town, and they showed their teachers pictures of all the different things that they did on the scavenger hunt, and they traded that in for a prize. And the teachers loved, they each picked a location in town. And this was really cool for them because businesses really got into this and partnered up well with us. And so, for example, pre-K was at Citizens Bank, and Citizens gave every pre-K student that came a little piggy bank, which was really cool. And first grade, as you can see in the photo, they were at West Drug, and West Drug bought them dinner so that they had dinner to eat while they were there, the team, while they were there with kids. So that was really fun for them. And then at 7 o'clock last night is when we went on Facebook Live on our West Elementary School Facebook page, and we drew the names of the winners, and lots of those baskets were already picked up today. So it's a fun event. We made the best of it. And you can see number 10 on the scavenger hunt was the seed packet idea. I think Mr. Truitt actually had that idea originally. So every kid had a packet of seeds, and they went out to the site of the new elementary school and scattered the seeds and took a picture with their family. And Miss Mays is collecting all of those photos, and she's going to put a slideshow on our Facebook page. And then our staff also took a picture out there last night. So a good event.
Fabulous events. I love the teachers are getting, what'd you say, $343.20? That's amazing. Great job to our kids, families, and teachers. Love this event. All right, board. Are there any other creative or campus report items you want to discuss before we move on? All right, so I'm excited about the
Guess not.
going out, and we're ready to roll. All right, Dr. Sparks, we're on to
Agenda item number 11 is a report of the 2020-2021 West ISD return to learn and play plan updates presented by Mr. Truitt.
all right, that was me again, so let me pull the PowerPoint up. All right. We've started doing this tradition on our different board meetings, having this up every month just to share where we are with the return to learn and play plans. So just a few slides. Wanted to first show you where we are with our student enrollment as of November 10th. And I added a new column because I thought we needed to separate remote and remote due to COVID-19. As you know,
Truitt,
November 2nd.
I hate to interrupt you. Your PowerPoint's not showing.
Yeah.
It's showing your files.
All right, my bad. Let's see here. right, let's try that again. There it is. All right. You see it now? You think we'd have this figured out by now? All right. On this slide, I'm talking about how I added a second column there where you can see remote due to COVID-19, so quarantine or isolation positive cases. And so, of course, on November 2nd, we did our best to get everyone back in person. Of course, there were some caveats to that plan. You can see we still had a few that were strong with remote for different reasons. But you can see that despite our best efforts, we still have a number of kids out on remote. Now, of course, the kids in that second column are mostly 14-day kids, some are 10, but we just expect that number to fluctuate throughout the school year. So it's easy to say that we don't have a remote instruction plan when we talk about column 1, but as you can see, that's not the case at all. So we've had to really adapt the remote piece for the quarantine and isolation kids. And I know Amanda's going to talk about how we've addressed our plan for the remote instruction when she gets to her slide here in a moment. So you can see where we are with on-campus and remote, and then the totals there. The next slide, I want to remind you of where we are on our calendar since we had the late start this year, and so I'll have this slide each month. Report card 1 went out. That grading period for the first 9 weeks ended on the 30th. And so we're coming up on progress report 2-1 right before Thanksgiving. You can see Thanksgiving break then is coming up on the 23rd through 27th. And just as a reminder, we do not end the fall semester on December 18th. It ends on January the 15th. You can see that we do have a star EOC period coming, and then of course the Christmas break with the 21st through the 1st, and the kids get the 4th off as well. We're working hard on the calendar, and we even have that as an agenda item for tonight as well to talk about next year's calendar. First 9-week review, our successes, and then we have the challenges on the next slide. And in talking with the principals, still loving the 7:15 a.m. preferred as the preferred plan. You're even going to see some feedback that we want to continue this plan for next year as well. You can see that the breakfast and lunches on all the campuses is still going well, and that was mentioned by both principals, especially how we've got it broken down into the different periods. Specifically, Ms. Costa keeps mentioning that in the classroom is working well. The kids are eating. A lot of great relationships being had with the classmates, but also the folks that are monitoring the lunches. Mr. Clander's still raving about the 4 lunch periods and how well the kids are doing, how they're getting through the lines quicker and having more time to eat. Mrs. Garrick and her ladies even figured out Thanksgiving. We had elementary yesterday, and secondary is tomorrow, and the meal was terrific. She was kind enough even to bring me one here at the house and leave it on my porch, which was very kind of them to think of me. Face masks are still going strong with our plan there. Still a challenge to keep everybody masked up, especially having it over their noses as well. But they're doing a good job with what we're asking of them all day long. The long-term substitute plan is still going strong, still the preferred plan. Although you'll see it on the challenges here in a minute, it actually appeared on both for this month. And both principals wanted me to mention the custodians and cafeteria teams and how hard they're working to keep the schools clean and running with the new feeding plan. On the challenges though, this one's a new one on the list, our bus drivers. You know, we talk so much about the staff and illness and COVID. Well, it's also hitting our bus drivers, and there's no sub bus drivers. When we need a substitute bus driver, we have to go ask a band director or coach to drive a route, and they're not all prepared to drive the routes. They don't know the routes and the stops. And so we run into some challenges here with the health of some of our bus drivers. Mr. Mailer's working hard. He's even driving a route. Want to thank Mr. Dorsey and Mr. Strickland. They've had to drive routes recently. And we're just all having to chip in on this one. If we have a bus driver go out for quarantine. Again, we just have to figure out a plan with someone in the district that has a bus license to help out. So that's a new one. And right now we have 4 drivers out, just so you know what that number is right now. The long-term substitute plan, our absences, we've got an uptick there. It's that time of year, flu and strep. We're having to use more subs than just the 3 we have at each campus. And so we're being a little more flexible with that because we have to have classrooms covered. The lack of bank days and early release days is still on our minds as we work through the different plans and as we review our quarantine and isolation numbers as we get closer possibly to the health department and their percentage of student absences that we have to keep in mind and just remember that we don't have a lot of wiggle room there. Still working through the fall semester ending after Christmas and different things associated with MCC and TSTC. The remote instruction uptick that I mentioned as well, that those numbers did not go down. And that second column I already mentioned, but Mrs. Adams and the principals and staff had to rework the plan with all the folks that are out due to COVID. And with that come engagement and attendance struggles still. And then Mr. Clander and Mrs. Cosda mentioned how challenging it is right now to investigate close contact cases across the campus. And then also we received notification from Ms. Scott that we also have to do that for MCC purposes. And so they have some new guidelines they sent us for their adjuncts and that we have to report to them as well. So I'm gonna let, one more slide. You can see here with our numbers that our quarantine pieces have gone up. You can see that we're hovering around 9 to 10 lab confirmed cases across the campuses. And technically on the 11th on theirs, there's not a row for the administration building. And then we've got the exposed quarantined cases there on the right that are close contacts to one of these 10 possibly. But most of those are because there's COVID in their homes, parent or relative or someone that they're living with. Therefore, that column number has risen here since Halloween. In particular, we had a few cases over this past weekend, but most of those are from the Halloween party weekend where the 14 days hasn't run its course yet, where those kids will be coming back here the week before Thanksgiving or after the Thanksgiving break. And then on the return to play, I wanted to mention that we have a new basketball section. We've updated those guidelines on our website. Like the volleyball plan, it's very similar. Health pre-screenings and temperature checks when you enter, face masks from entry to exit and throughout all 4 quarters of the games. Social distancing 6 feet apart, and we're trying something new because the tape kept getting ripped off or torn off when we had to do the blocking off of rows, and so we tried yellow rope this time, and we had our first games last night and it worked well with making sure that the appropriate rows were skipped. And so we're rocking on the basketball guidelines as well. All right, now Ms. Adams is going to share a few updates on remote instruction.
So as Mr. Truitt already shared with you, our numbers are quite significant on the isolation and quarantine side, which justifies us really looking at the asynchronous plan in a different way. With only 11 students that are still in the transition back to on campus, there's very few of those 11 who will continue to be remote due to a medical attestation. Some of them are just in the transition as we move back in. But it made us really look back at our asynchronous plan because we're really looking at a short-term experience for them on the remote rather than a long-term learning environment that they'll be in remotely. So we wanted to focus on providing what is really the crux of the learning that they're missing for 10 or 14 days that they're out. And so we've been working with the teachers and presented them an updated plan that includes teacher and student interaction, but at maybe a different level. It's more individualized. depending on how many remote students the teacher does have in their course. And it continues to have all the tenets of our original asynchronous plan in that, you know, the attendance is taken the same way, they're provided the same opportunities instructionally. However, it is scaled back a little bit the amount of time that the teachers are having to spend on making specific remote instruction lessons, and they're more focusing on adapting what they're doing in class and able to get that short-term remote instruction piece going for those isolation quarantine. For the 11 that are still on the remote in the transition period, we're also continuing to provide that level of instruction that we guarantee them through the asynchronous plan as they move back in. But we've tried to lighten the load a little bit for those short-term students and families, as well as the teachers, and make sure they get what they need until they get back into the groove of the regular on-campus student life.
So are the teachers themselves doing it? Are we still using, we had looked at or moved to other staff doing that? So how is that? And if I missed that, I apologize.
No, you're fine. That's a great question, Mrs. Crosstraw. At the elementary, we have gone to more of a hybrid method where we do have 2 teachers that are gathering all the information from the classroom teachers and inputting that into our Schoology system for the students who are experiencing remote instruction. And that's working well for them at that campus. It's maintained at a level that keeps it more consistent and allows the teachers of the grade levels to focus on the huge percentage of kids are those sitting in their classroom. For secondary, it's a little different. The teachers themselves are still inputting everything because they are continuously using Schoology as an LMS system anyway. And so not a lot has to change for them to be able to offer the remote instruction. So for them, mainly they're making sure that they provide that assistance to students as needed through interaction, but continuing to put all of their assignments and things into Schoology. So kind of both.
Are there any other questions for Amanda or David?
Okay, thank you. Thanks,
Thank
Ms.
you
Adams.
very much for the report. We'll move on. Agenda item number 11 is a report. Agenda item number 11 is a report to Texas Education, TEA District, and Campus Accountability System and Ratings Update.
Yes, sir. Thank you. I'm going to share my screen at this time and hope that it works. Are y'all able to see the thumbs up? Accountability? Awesome. I just wanted to share tonight some updates that we haven't done this in a while, and we got a little bit of news in the last few weeks about the accountability system for this year. And so I'll get started with just some data pieces. This is from our system that replaced iStation. Remember, its name is iReady. It's more comprehensive, and there's a lot more national data backing the scoring system that they use. And so these scales that I'm showing you are based on beginning of year scores, diagnostically showing where a student is. And if you want to think of it as, are they ready to tackle the grade level material? And so as you can see, this is our reading. And what I want you to take away from this is that as you go up into the grade levels, you start seeing where that gap affected our kids last year. As you get into 2nd, 3rd, 4th, and 5th, and you'll see it on middle school in a minute, you can see that there was a lack of deep instruction for several months there last year, that they have some gaps that we're trying to catch up so that they are ready to receive that grade level material. Of course, green is always good. Yellow means they're slightly behind the beginning of year pace they should be on, and then red is significantly behind. And so those are the students you're going to see us working with in a tier 3 deep instruction, extra time situation. So that's elementary. Let me share with you middle school reading. So it really mirrors those higher grades in elementary, you can see where those gaps are. And remember, this is beginning of year. Are they ready to receive that grade level's content? So we have some work here to do for this reading area. I also have some math scores from iReady. You'll see that it pretty much mirrors the reading. This diagnostic was given early in the school year, so if we will give it again in January, and I would expect that you're going to see a very different scenario when students that are on campus have been receiving direct instruction for quite some time. So I'll bring those numbers back to you, but you can see a similar trend here in math, and here's middle school math. And so these are the numbers we're working with to start. Our interim is our interim star for grades 3 through 8 is finishing up this week with some makeup. So I'll have some numbers for you guys next board meeting that I can share a real-time kind of star question look at how we're doing. But I also wanted to take a few minutes to share with you some accountability updates. This is a very unique year.
Amanda.
Yes.
Amanda.
Yes.
Before you go on to that, do you have comparison, like what this year's 8th graders, how that chart looked last year for them as 7th graders, to do a kind of comparison kind of thing? Or
that's a good question. Since we were using a different program, it's not exactly apples to apples. With the iStation, I could definitely bring data back that shows you where we ended as far as tiered services, tiers 1, 2, and 3, but it is going to be a little different as far as it's a different program. So, but yeah,
I just know that we had a group of kids that had struggled, and we were kind of watching them and doing some extra work with them, and I'm just wondering how they're faring with this kind of time compared to when they were on campus getting that really intensive stuff. So I know it's not apples to apples, but I think it would be beneficial.
If I'm looking at those grade levels, Ms. Crawshaw, you're looking at grade 7 and 8 here is what you're talking about for the most part. But yes, I can definitely bring some comparison data so that you can see kind of where they left off before COVID.
Amanda, I think you did this last go around or last year when we were looking at iStation, but maybe the next one you show us could have this one and that next one too, so we can, and that might help with Lee's, inquiry as well to kind of help us gauge how we're moving.
Yeah, that's what I was talking about, is this timeline, when you did it approximately like this last year to this one. Exactly. Thank you, Holly.
Yes. Yeah. So a time span of the same time of year. Yes, we could definitely do that. Not a problem.
But Lee, for you to understand too,
yeah.
Last year they used iStation, which was completely different program than what they're using now. It's iReady. Mm-hmm. And so it's still a math and reading, but it's not apples to apples, like she said.
Yeah.
Something that you might really be interested in is interim score to interim score, because those are the exact same tests. And so I can also show you guys how they were last year versus this year on interim percentage wise. Be a good gauge for you.
Is that where we had the 3 different I don't know what the term was. Holly, help me out here.
It was the 3 colors. It was like a chart that had the 3 different colors. Yeah, same.
It's the same colors. Yeah. Yeah, they were just a different orientation. Actually, if you turned this on its head, it looked very similar.
Yeah.
Well, actually, no. Okay. That's what we're looking. Okay.
Yeah.
No, I was asking more along the lines of next month, whenever you report the interim star tests things, are we going to see, like, I think one of them had to do with race, and one of them had to do with
demographics. Closing the gap. Yes. And we'll do those with, I think you were talking about the performance levels. Absolutely. Yes. And I can kind of show you how they're moving through the years. We have some pretty good longitudinal data now for interim since we've been doing it for 3 years. So I can kind of show you how they've been growing through the years. So yes.
Thank you.
Yeah,
and
of course.
Thanks for the explanation on that one, Holly, because I probably needed that too.
And so I'll be glad to answer any more questions if you think of them as I talk about this accountability piece. But and like I was saying, it's a pretty unique year in accountability because we actually didn't have a STAR test, and that's pretty historic. You know, we thought it was really historic when West was given kind of a pass the year of the explosion. We were shocked. And then this past year, us getting a wave as a state is a big deal. And so what that has done, though, is created a kind of conundrum in accountability world, because now we have this hole in our data. And so on October 28th, one of the accountability commissions that meets for TA had a meeting, and I wanted to share some things that came out of that meeting. None of this is decision final. I'll say it is all still up in the air as the state weighs its options. So you'll see words like may in here a lot, or whatever is best is said in here. But I wanted to kind of go over a few of these with you. Some of the situations that TA is dealing with as far as accountability that could have a significant impact on scoring would be that they recognize that STAR outcomes could have a natural slide because of COVID. Decreased participation because of attendance issues, you know, gaps because of instruction being not as in depth for that amount of time, and then remote instruction affecting, and so they're calling it kind of the COVID slide. So they're realizing that the data could be affected by that. But not only that, the academic growth index that we've all been taught is the most important part of STAR accountability, because every student can grow. We have no comparison data for last year. And so there's no way to calculate a one-year progress measure, how they're doing this year compared to last year. They also recognize that in high school, we did not have the opportunity to give our students many of the components of the college and career military readiness options. You know, we weren't able to give any certifications or industry-based licenses. So there was a decreased participation in that. And that's a big part of the high school's accountability. There's also the issue of the entry and exit of campuses identified as improvement. Basically, our ratings, if we were in improvement, which we're not, thank goodness, we would still be in improvement this year because we had no opportunity to get out of it last year. So having said that, our ratings for this current year are just a mirror image of what they were the year before. And so all of those things cause issues in the accountability world because our statisticians who put accountability together, it's very black and white to them. And so we have these holes now that they have to deal with. So I'm going to share with you a couple of things that they're talking about. So first of all, just for the basic STAR component, they are talking about adjusting the cut points this year because of that COVID slide that I mentioned earlier. They're talking about that for the all students group. So not necessarily the different demographics like Mr. Yannick just mentioned, but when you look at all students, what do we need to do with those cut points to make sure that we look at it in an equitable way? They will not, they have said definitively, raise the cut points this year, but they will lower them. But I like this wording, if necessary. So no guarantee there, lower them if necessary. But this is the part about accountability and testing that always gets me, is that they are not going to give us the cut points until after the testing is complete. And so we're going to keep pushing towards our goal based on what we know was the cut point previously, because we know it's not going to be raised. But we will not know the actual cut points until well after testing. And I have a timeline at the end of these slides that kind of explains it. So, you know, if necessary, they may lower the cut points. When it comes to CCMR for high school, the cut points won't change. They've already said they're not changing anything in that area. What they're going to do, though, possibly, the word may is in this slide, is look at the class of 19 and 20 and use the better of the two, which is unusual. And so they're saying they don't want us to be penalized for not having the opportunity to give our students the opportunities to take licenses and certifications and all the other CCMR qualifiers. So they may look at 19 and 20 and take the better of the two. So they also may take that CCMR outcome and use it in the closing the gaps domain in the same way, because CCMR is used in multiple areas. So they're considering that option for both areas. So also with graduation rate, they're not changing anything for the cut points. Pretty much this is a USD approval chain and they're not looking to change any of that. So we're still responsible for graduating our kids at a high rate, which is basically what this slide says. Academic growth is the one that's pretty troubling and that they're having the most trouble coming up with a good plan for, and that's that domain 2 that we always talk about, every kiddo can grow. So because they have no one-year data, because we didn't test last year, they're going to probably use a 2-year growth measure in that school progress rating. In closing the gaps, they might include the 2-year growth measure. Closing the gaps is a federal section of STAR, as you guys know, because we've talked about it a lot. And so it requires a lot more planning and approval to get changed. So closing the gaps is really a trouble area for TEA right now, and figuring out how that is going to be allowed. They're going to have to do a lot of things to get the USDE to approve their plan. And so they're working through that. But again, you see they bolded that they're not going to release any cut points until after the test. So I did want to, I put this in, these are my, my notes. I wanted to let you guys know they've also cut back on the areas they're going to look at for that 2-year progress. The only grades and tests that will be allowed to have a growth measure this year are listed on your screen. So grades 5, all tests for math and reading, grade 6 reading and math, 7 and 8 reading and math. There's a growth measure from 8th grade to algebra, so that one will remain. But the English 1 test will not have a growth measure unless it's a STAR Alt 2. So the only high school test that actually will have a large percentage of students who get a growth measure is English 1 to English 2. So only your sophomores. So they've pretty much taken out growth measure for high school, except for that 1 test. And that's problematic, but understandable because they have no data to compare it to from last year. Closing the gaps, like I said, is domain 3 and has federal implications. And so they're thinking that they might do a hold harmless provision here to reflect the best overall outcome. So they are thinking about, like I said, those portions of CCMR, which class 19 or 20 had the better. They're going to try to include a 2-year growth measure if USDE will approve that. And then the ELPS the English language proficiency may include the best result for the student. That's the TELPAS results. And so they're looking at where the kiddo did best in the last couple of years, and they're going to try to include that in the closing the gaps. So the participation rate, they're recognizing that we're going to have some trouble getting all of our students tested this year if they're online or on quarantine or isolation. So they made it clear that the goal is to keep our percentage as close to 100 as possible, which will always be our goal. We want that data. But they're trying to avoid penalizing districts by allowing us to submit a waiver if we struggle with getting up to 95%. And I'll tell you, we've never struggled with that number. We're almost always at 100 or at 99 is the lowest I think I've ever seen it go. So I'm not really worried about this, except that we do have the possibility of having a large number of students on isolation. The good news is the online testing window is quite long. It's actually 5 weeks on most tests, so that we have a big opportunity to give that test online, even if they miss the paper version, which would still count for our participation. So this one, I feel like we're in good shape on. My final screen just kind of wanted to show you the timeline. So the meeting that I'm referring to and got these slides from was on October 27th and 28th. And you'll see this big decision needed they are going to have to make this decision, because what they have to do on this December 1st date, that is when they have to submit our plan to the Federal Education Bureau for approval. So they have to have it submitted by December 1st. So I feel like we're going to get a big decision coming out very soon as to what they're going to submit. Now, once they do submit it, they'll get word back, and they have a little bit of a window to get any addendums submitted there in January. But we're not even getting our 2021 manual for rulemaking. It's not even going to be ready, started to submit until February. And you can see how they're showing July 18th. That is when they're going to tell us the cut points. So we have quite a row ahead of us before we know exactly how our students' scores will be looked at. We'll know some rules, but we will not know cut points. We are in good shape. We've still been talking to my good friend Denise Bell, who now works for Waco ISD, but she is part of this committee, and she shares a lot with us, and we are in good shape. We've submitted our goals to every kiddo based on that 2-year progress measure, and we already had that in place before this information came out. So I feel like we're in a good place as far as knowing what our kids need to be going for. And we'll keep shooting for that ESF goal of making sure every kiddo grows. And that's what we should always do. So thanks. I know that was a lot of information, and I'll have more for you around December 1st, I think. So thank you. If you have any questions, please be sure to ask.
Thank you, Amanda. Thank you.
So
Do you have any questions for Amanda?
Of course I do. The attendance of your asking for the waiver for, would you say 95%?
Yes, if you're lower than 95%.
Right. So are we having, and we're not having that percentage. I mean, we're not having, what's my word? I can't even think what I'm trying to say. Our attendance is not an issue right now, right?
We haven't had,
other than our numbers in general are down, but
right. General attendance is down. We've been communicating with parents from the very beginning of remote learning that no matter what happened, that they have to come to campus to test. And so we're even bringing them to campus to interim test if they're not on quarantine. And so we're getting them used to that now, so that we're in preparation for the real STAR test, because we're trying to avoid that attendance issue. So even we'll go as far as if we need to set up special areas for them, testing center, we'll use that extended online time. We really feel like that online extended time gives us an opportunity to get as much participation as possible. So yeah, I don't anticipate needing the waiver.
okay. So that leads me to what you just said about having the online opportunity. So what about our kids who have accommodations for taking paper only? How does that affect us? Or do we not have opportunities, that broad spectrum of time for the paper kids?
Yeah, unfortunately, they did not extend the paper window. We do have the week of the testing window there, but it's not extended beyond that. So we'll have to do our very best for any student who must take it on paper due to any accommodation to get them done that week. Now, if they are unable to do that, and the parent, our committee, 504 committee would like to go back and discuss that to see if they want to do an online test because they were unable to get the window, we could certainly do that. And we're able to switch to online at any point that the committee agrees to.
TEA is opening themselves up to a lot by saying you can't have that paper. So good luck to them.
Yeah.
My second part is, you always show us what practices look like, the results. So we will have those to practice comparison. I'm assuming we keep track of that. So we'll be able to do that.
That's what she means by interim STAR.
I'm sorry. Yeah, of course.
That's what she's calling the interim STAR. They're going to be taken here shortly.
Yeah, we're finishing that up this week, and I actually have several years of data that I can share with you as the student moves through the years, how they're doing. I'll be glad to do a chart of their ebbs and flows, and so that you can see kind of if they're in 7th grade now, how are they in 6th, how are they in 5th, because that is a test we've given over several years. Yeah,
It's just my brain not
it's okay.
within the meaning there. Sorry.
No worries.
Lee, I am a little worried about 5% at a grade level because that's not many kids. So like Amanda said, though, the 5 weeks, you know, with quarantine period of 14 days come into play.
I do think that was intentional. Yes, Mr. Truitt.
Yeah, it's going to have to be. I mean, right now we'd have issues with 5% just with what's out now, especially at certain grade levels. So it's something we're just going to have to track. But that 5-week period is going to come into big time play. And who knows where we'll be with COVID in April and May when we're taking the test. But that number could go pretty quickly. So we gotta be ready.
Yeah, and it is an over rate that our goal is always to get 100%. I will say that the extended window even is in effect after we're out of school. So we have some opportunity there. We just because we have our last day of school, we can still use that time if we need to in that extended window. So.
Very good.
Thank you.
A lot to digest. Thank you very much, Amanda. That brings us to agenda item number 12, which is a report by Mr. David Truitt on our new West Elementary School design and construction update.
All right, I pulled up a memo that I had emailed you, board members, with the attachments that didn't make it into the board packet. And like it says at the beginning of the memo, these are excerpts from different correspondence, face-to-face or emails with George DeJean, with Claycomb, that I thought were important since our last board meeting. And this will be a standing agenda item each month. Starting in December, George will start attending the meetings in person. And so this is the last one that will be a memo form from me. I wanted to let you know in the first bullet point that our survey folks with Quick Incorporated completed the Matoush Trust land survey on their side for our sewer easements. Remember, we were responsible for that work since our sewer line will run through the Matoush land along 2114 down by the Palladium. And so they reached out to, I saw he called today, but since I wasn't in the office, I'll call tomorrow because they need to start that work and they need some things from us and Mr. Matoush, since that's not our land, not our 30 acres. I also want you to know I heard from Mr. Kaluja again, and we're working with him on where those easements are so that he can do his next round of crops. And so we're going to send him some documents so he knows where not to plant. The second bullet point there is a biggie. You can see there that Claycomb has completed what they call 100% construction document for their document phase, which includes, you can see the drawings and specifications of the project. And you can see that now they're in Jackson Construction's hands for bidding and procurement. The bid date is Thursday the 10th, is what we're hoping for. I may ask you for a special called meeting on December 16th, or we can do the 17th or the 15th, I should have said. If we need to have a meeting in there to approve the bids, it would behoove us to take care of that before the Christmas break so that we can start big time on the project in January and stay on our schedule as presented. And so I'll let you know where we are on that as we move towards that December 10th date. Also, you can see the final guaranteed maximum price presentation will be on the December regular board meeting. Of course, there's still some decisions that need to be made on cost reductions and some other things that they're going to present at that time. So that's going to be a big agenda item that we're really excited about. The 100% construction documents will be delivered to my office if any of you'd like to get a copy and review it ahead of the meeting. So I'll let you know when they arrive, and if any of y'all want to come by and look through them with me, we can absolutely schedule some time together. On the fourth bullet point there, you can see that Mrs. Kaza and her teachers have been reviewing classroom technology plans with Mrs. Adams and Mr. Crow. So far, the preferred choice over the interactive video projector that's mounted in the ceilings at the current middle high school and at the elementary is this clear touch interactive display that I've told some of you about. You've seen pictures, and I texted you a few of teachers and even posted some of the kids using the devices. Currently, there's 2 units at the elementary, I've been told. A second one arrived. And Ms. Costa would love to schedule a demo session for any of interested board members so you can see teachers using it, and they can show you the different functions and why this is their preferred choice for the teaching piece in their classrooms. And so I'll send out some dates and times, excuse me, that you guys can choose from, and they would love to schedule that for you. Next is not good news, but just an obstacle we need to overcome as we find out more about this window opening back up. If you read through this ahead of time, you can see that Charles Regan got back with Mrs. Adams about how the window is currently not open for applications for the SafeLink grant. So this is about timing now. And they do not know when the window will open again. It doesn't mean it's never going to open again. They just didn't have a date for us because of all that's going on with COVID. And so they did mention that when it does, they recommended this joint plan with the City of West for joint application. And so that part was well received. We just don't know when the window will open. As a reminder, this isn't an issue we can't overcome because of our Cone-Resnick workshop that we had here recently. You know that we have other funding options. So just wanted you to keep that in mind, that just another hurdle we need to overcome. And then the last one, Ms. Costa showed you the picture that Mr. Norris with our maintenance department was kind enough to put up a makeshift coming soon sign for their scavenger hunt. Just another event about getting folks excited about groundbreaking and dirt moving and all the fun things that are happening with the new elementary campus. So that's all I have since last month. Are there any questions I can answer from those 6 bullet points?
Mr. Truitt, do you mind if I tell them if y'all want to see the clear touch technology but can't make it to the campus or because of social distancing, I could always go into a classroom and just video a little bit of a lesson so y'all can see what all it does and just send it out and email it.
That would be great. That as well.
And Mr. Truitt, I want to jump in here as well. I know in a previous district, we used those almost exclusively. We got away from the projectors and they were phenomenal because it gave you the flexibility to move around the classroom. You could set up anywhere and it was, those are very well usable and great devices for everybody in the classes. So I'm jealous.
I was going to say, are you just trying to get some over there at middle and high school?
I'll come sit in there. I don't care. I got a key. I'll find a key. I don't care.
Yeah.
So are they
Somehow,
are they
somehow that my kiddos have already seen this and they are really excited. They're already talking about at the new school or whatever, they get these really cool screens and they're going to do all this and that. So the kids are excited too.
They're loving it. We have a sign up sheet and one is staying in Ms. Byers' room right now because she's kind of our tech leader on campus, but the other one is rotating and based on sign up. And yes, lots of kids have gotten to use it. They're loving it.
Yeah, I would be really interested to see that thing in action. That sounds really cool.
Well, we'll film some video and offer in person. So I'll get with Ms. Costa and we'll send out some session dates and times. Ms. Crawshaw, I thought I heard your voice. Were you asking something a minute ago?
It was answered through Ms. Costa's answer.
Great. Okay. All right. Any other questions I can answer about where we are with the new campus? I don't want anybody to lose sleep over that 5th bullet point. As you know, we have alternative sources to still make that happen. So just wasn't the answer we wanted to hear. But again, that's a temporary setback and we'll wait to hear back from them when that window opens up again.
Other people's money is always better to spend.
Amen. All right, let's keep rolling.
All right, agenda item number 13 is a report on the Texas School Safety Center, TXSSC District Safety Audit Report. And Ms. Jana Protka, the EOP coordinator, is going to present that. Jana, where are you? Oh, there you are.
I'm right here. Mr. Truitt, are you going to share the presentation or do you want me to share it?
I can pull it up. Just give me a second.
Okay.
Sorry, I was muted. That's on my H drive, and since I'm at the house, I'm not on the H drive like I can at work. So do you have it?
Yes.
I can go to my email and pull it up where I sent it to you. You got it, relative?
Can y'all see it?
Oh, yes, there you go. Thank you.
Okay, so let me see. As you all know, we've been doing the audit report. I've told you that we visited all of the campuses. I met with the Safety and Security Committee on November 5th, and then with our district advisory team on Monday the 9th. And now I'm meeting with you guys, and we will submit all of the audit report to the Texas School Safety Center by this Sunday. It's a weird day, but I have it ready to go. I'm just waiting for you guys. I think you have to sign off on it. So along with Mr. Truitt, we have some action steps and plans to meet all the audit deficiencies. So there was, and Dr. Sparks and Ms. Crawshaw can tell you that it was a very long spreadsheet with lots of questions. And we went through it with the Safety and Security Committee and made a plan and talked about what we're going to do to help change all the no's that are in the spreadsheet to yeses, meaning taking care of all of those things. At the elementary school, we looked at the visitor check-in and the Raptor system. We talked about getting a visitor policy put into action, into writing for everyone, getting parking decals for all the staff members. We have
Hey,
them at the
Jana,
high
go ahead
school.
and click to the next screen. You're still on the, there you go.
Oops, sorry.
No, you're fine. Good job.
I'm struggling to multitask here. The parking decals for all staff members, we do have that for, of course, our high school, middle school, for our teachers and for our students that drive. We just need to get them for the elementary teachers. We talked about deliveries, making sure that those are going to the maintenance building to where Mr. Polonsky can deliver them to the campuses. A Knox box, which is something that the EMS and fire use to get into the buildings when we're not here, making sure we get one over at the elementary school. The bomb threat assessment, making sure that when we get phone calls like that, the staff in the office knows how to handle that. Security cameras and fire alarms. As you know, that building is very old. There's not a fire alarm. I'm sorry, Carrie, but you got to scream really loud and let them know that you have a fire. But we are taking care of that and trying to figure out a way to help them out over there. And also the security camera issue. We're doing an audit over the keys that the teachers and staff have. Mr. Polonsky has a very good system. We just want to make sure at the end of the year that we're double checking who has what and checking it off our list. So we've talked about school-based law enforcement. We know that we already have a plan for that, and you guys know that plan already. Numbering, oh, I didn't do it again. Numbering the exterior doors. These have been ordered and will be posted soon. Drop off and pick up signage. We have an unloading and loading zone in the front, but just making sure that we have that in the back for our buses where they drop off, and then in the front where they pick up. So playground inspection and playground ground cover, cover over the, for the kids so it's not so hot outside. Prohibited items, signage, making sure that these prohibited things aren't brought on campus. And then the CPR and AED training list. All of our staff have been trained on this, but it's just making sure that we get that list out to everyone. Middle school, high school, as you can see, a lot of these things are the same from the elementary school. So I'm not going to read them over again. And then the exterior door numbers, again, have been ordered. The drop off and pickup signage, we do have those. It's just making the signs more readable. They're all stacked into one on a sign. So we thought as the committee, or as the audit committee, that team that went around, that maybe we should make these into separate signs to be bigger or something. Securing the exterior athletic areas, talked about that, making sure that all of that is locked and safe. The auditorium, the stage free of hazards. It talked about the curtains and stuff in there. The eye wash station checks, that is in our labs, making sure that they are flushed on a regular basis, and then a stadium emergency plan. That was, we talked about getting like walkie-talkies in the press box and other areas to get a hold of the security as quickly as we can if we needed it. Administration building, and then it'll be the maintenance and transportation building. So again, a visitor system, the deliveries, the bomb threat, the entry key audit, the training list, making sure that safety drills are being done at the admin building with their staff that's over there too. We want them to make sure they know how to get out of the building in case of a fire or other hazard. Exterior signage, same thing, numbering our doors, and then actually making a sign that says West ISD Administration Building. The prohibited items signage again. Maintenance and transportation, same thing with the visitor policy, deliveries, bomb threat, entry key audit, and then the training list, making sure they're doing safety drills as well as some extra bus driver training that we need to add. And then exterior security cameras on the outside area. They do have them on the inside, but we were thinking they need some on the outside based on the audit. Exterior signage there as well, and the door numbers, and then locked fuel pumps and a shut-off process. So as a district, the National Incident Management System, the NIMS training for all of the, for everyone on the district level, and then incident command locations, and then school district boundary signage. So showing where our boundaries are for our property. So as you can see, these are the trends across all the facilities, and our plan is to help to make action items for us to make sure we take care of all of this. So, if you have any questions, Mr. Truitt was talking to me about that we could go over this and any questions that you have during executive session tonight if you need to. But other than that, I think that's it.
Very good. Thank you, Jana.
Sorry, that was fast and furious.
Nope. Good job, Ms. Protka. As she mentioned during executive closed session, if we want to talk about specifics of the audit, it's on the closed session agenda as well, so she can join us if need be. So we can get into details in that setting.
Very good. All right, thank you. If there are no questions right now, we'll go on to agenda item number 14, which is a report on the draft of the 2021-2022 West ISD Scholastic Calendar, and Mr. David Truitt's going to present that to us.
All right, let's see. Can everybody see that?
See it.
All right, great. All right. Ms. Adams was kind enough to lead the district advisory team meeting for me on Monday since I was out. And she gave me some key feedback from the teacher reps, and an online survey has gone out just today, as a matter of fact, to gather feedback from all of our employees about the calendar as well, so we can see where folks stand, especially in particular the month of August for the 21-22 school year. We've thrown out a couple different start dates to them, but on this particular sample that we presented to the district advisory team, our first day of school would be August 25th. You can see that we still have a lot of red, which came back as a popular piece of feedback from the staff and the DAT. So you could see that new teacher would be on August 9th and 10th, and then we would still have 10 red days. What we've learned is 10's kind of the minimum, and they loved how we had the morning training time and then afternoon prep and work time. And so we would work that schedule back into those red days. You can see as you move into September, we've got Labor Day. And then as we move into October, you can see the grading period ending in the middle of the month there. You can see that we've tried to bring back the 4-day fall break, which came back in the survey in the DAT meeting feedback. So Friday would be a staff and student holiday, and then Monday would be a training work day. And so that was requested to bring back this year. We did not have that red day, and it was greatly missed. Needed to move into that second 9-week grading period. You can see, of course, we have the 5-day week at Thanksgiving, which has kind of become a standard for our calendar. And then you can see in December, by popular demand, you know, we're trying it right now, but we knew it'd probably be a 1-year thing just because of our late start. We'd like to have the semester end again before Christmas. And so you can see that December 17th being the last day of the fall semester. We move back up to January. You can see we have the 2 work days and training days there with the midweek start like in August on January 5th. You can see MLK Junior Appreciation Day on the 17th. You can see President's Day on February 21st. Spring break is still up for debate. As you know, we try to look at other Region 12 calendars, especially MCC, sometimes Baylor's, and we haven't seen if it's 7th through 11th or 14th through 18th yet. So we're still waiting to hear on where that falls, but either week we'll make it work. We were asked to do a work training day after spring break to get everybody back and acclimated, and it's a good time to get testing training and some other things done for the push run there in the April and May. You can see Easter is on the 17th of April, and so Good Friday is the 15th for a holiday. Amanda heard from the DAT on Monday that they'd like to see April 18th as a 4th day there for the 4-day Easter break, which we've done before. And they're aware it means we'd stretch 1 more day into May. If we do that option, of course, what we would do is tag the 28th, and anyone that still needed to come and check out could, and if, you know, otherwise we'd have everything wrapped up. And so we'll look at that, and we'll get feedback on what the preference there is. And obviously that affects that last day of school dates there in May. So we meet the goal also to finish before Memorial Day. The last day for kids would be the 25th. The last day for staff would be the 27th. And then we have the full 4 weeks for summer school and STAR preparation there for those purple days there on the 21st through 24th. If you look at my key on the left-hand side here, you can see that inclement weather days would be those red days for kids if we needed them. And as usual, if we needed additional days, we'd just go to May 31st and on into June if needed. There'd be 2 flex days, and they would be for Thanksgiving. So the staff would have to earn those 16 hours. And then you can see the grading periods. Of course, stopping the fall semester before the Christmas break, we have less days in the fall than in the spring, but you can see it's pretty evenly stretched between the 4 grading periods. And then you can see the staff PD days at 16, the flex days I mentioned. We'd apply for the waiver days, and that gets us to the 187 days, which are the puzzle piece we always have to figure out each year for the staff contract days. And then at the bottom, you can see our instructional minutes. Mrs. Deflinson helped us calculate this. So you can see this calendar has 78,585. The key is the bank days, because of how few we have this year. We'd get back to almost 6.5. And so that's key for this calendar, especially if we have any COVID or inclement weather related issues. And so, like I said, we're gathering more feedback right now. Each month we'll give you a calendar update with hopes of solidifying where the staff stands on a couple of the issues I brought to you today. Of course, guys, as you know, we went through several calendar reworks last spring in particular to get to where we were for August. We even changed it, as you know, in late July. So just be prepared for whatever we approve. It's subject to change, just depending upon what we hear from the state. We just want you to see where we are right now on the calendar. Thank you.
The required number of minutes is what again? I'm sorry, I've forgotten.
Say that again, Lee.
The required number of minutes is what? I see what we have, but what is the
75,600.
Okay, so we're doing awesome.
Or do I have that backwards? 76,500? No, 75,600. I had to think about it.
And the 2 waiver days are for what? For
the teachers, you know, earn GT training and have to do all the required trainings. So when they do those over the summer, we try to give them flex time back for giving us 16 hours of work over the summer. So that's a way to add 2 more calendar days to the schedule. So they're trading of their time in order to get the 5 days off at Thanksgiving. We've had as many as 5 or 6. I think 5 has been the most. Amanda, have we had more than 5?
Yes, sir. We have had 6.
Yeah, I thought we had 6. So yeah, the fact there's only 2 on here is it's unusual for our calendar. Actually here in the recent years. So 16 hours will be the goal, and the teachers will all meet that easily just in the summertime.
Very good. Any other questions? Okay, thank you for that report. That'll bring us to agenda item number 15, which is an action item. It's consideration of possible action by the board to adopt the resolution amending the authorized representatives for the local government investment cooperative, known as Logic, and that's going to be presented by Joanna Matzik, our district accountant.
Hello,
Joanna.
Good evening. This agenda item is specifically for the Logic accounts, and Logic is administered by Hilltop Securities and JP Morgan Chase Asset Management. I'm presenting a resolution to update the authorized representatives to Mr. Truitt and myself. This would grant us access to transmit or withdraw funds from these accounts, and this is also where the new bond funds are sitting. So to pay the bills, we're going to need some authorized representatives in the district. So there you go. Any questions about that?
Board members, the Logic amendment was in the attachments I emailed you. The next one, the text pool's in your packet. So I just wanted to make sure you saw that. I can pull it up as on the shared screen if anyone needs to see it. Anybody?
Okay, this is an action item, and therefore it requires a motion, a second, and a vote. So the floor is open for
the resolution.
Okay, the motion has been made. I believe that was John Crowder. Is there a second?
Second.
All right, motion's been made and seconded. All those in favor, please show of hands or say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay. I have very few, I can't see on the screen and stuff.
Keep your hands up. I can toggle through. Oh, there you go.
Yeah, I can see everybody at once. It's good.
Okay. Okay, all right. Thank you. All right.
Thanks, Dr. Crowder.
So 7-0 is what it is.
Agenda item. Do I?
So it's 7-0, so it passes.
All right, agenda item number. Yes. Okay, next item is agenda item number 16. It's also an action item. It's consideration of possible action by the board to adopt the resolution amending the authorized representatives for the West ISD Text Pool Investment Service, And Joanna Motzik will also instruct us on this.
So this is just another depository that we have. It's rarely ever used. It actually houses our workers' comp account, and it just gains interest monthly. There was actually discussion about 3 or 4 months ago about even consolidating it into one of the Logic accounts, or even bringing into our main depository of BBVA Compass. But right now it's sitting just fine. It's making some funds, interest rates pretty decent. It's a little over 100 grand, so it's not that bad. It would be nice just to hang on to it for a little bit and then maybe figure out, especially whenever the FEMA funds get fixed up and figured out, then maybe we can decide what to do with this one. But it's just hanging out there as our workers' comp, and we just need to be able to have authorized representatives from the district. So Mr. Truitt and myself, again, would be the same representatives.
Okay, great. Does anyone have any questions for Joanna? If not, I will call for a motion to address agenda item number 16 as presented.
I move the adoption of the text pool resolution.
Okay, motion's been made by Crowder. Is there a second? I see Mike Garrick's hand go up, so
Big
Mike
Papa.
is a second. All those in favor, please show of hands or indicate by saying aye. I think there's 7-0, Lee, is that the best I can tell? My internet is not stable. Okay. That brings us to agenda item number 17, which is also an action item. It's consideration and possible action by the board to approve the competitive seal proposal, CSP, purchasing method for the procurement of West High School softball and baseball enclosed/indoor batting cages. Mr. Truitt's going to talk to us about that.
There's actually going to be 2 agenda items that, due to being out, we're going to take no action on, and this is one of them. I just want to explain why just being out, couldn't get everything done on this one, so I don't have all the pieces to present tonight. What we're trying to do here is do a comparative study on an enclosed with concrete, a concrete foundation, electricity, aluminum facility that you can see there, and you saw in my notes that I sent you guys. That versus just putting a cover over our current batting cages is really what we're talking about. What we learned was it was going to be over $40,000 just for the covers, and then we learned that just for a little more we could do an enclosed structure that could be used year-round, even in bad weather or cold weather. As you know, 2 years ago we started a conversation about this, and here we are all this time later, and this project has never been done. So I'm resurrecting it. I may have stuff before the December board meeting that we could even do a quick approval for. But as Ms. Willis mentioned, we have a lot of folks in our community that could do this kind of work for us. So it's important that we get it in the paper as well, and that we get as many folks bidding on this so we can get the best price possible. And I will say comparative price, because if we can do the enclosed structure over just the covers, I think that's a win for our baseball, softball program. And so I'll bring you this information and email it to you as we receive it so we can start doing a study on the 2 options. So I may have something ahead of the December meeting for you. If not, it'll definitely be on the December board meeting agenda.
Okay, very good.
On 17.
Okay, no action item. All right, thank you, David. Agenda item number 18 is an action item. It's consideration and possible action by the board to approve the addendum to the 2020-2021 University Interscholastic League UIL grades 6 through 12 course exemption list. And Amanda Adams is going to present that for us.
Yes, Sarah, I need to add 3 courses to the UIL list. That would be AP Biology, AP Art 2, and AP Calculus. Those courses, when we approved this early in August, they were not on the list as we weren't sure they were going to make, but we do have students in those, and we need to add those to the list.
Okay. Amanda, how many students do you need for a class to make?
We typically, you know, Chuck may be able to give a little more info. We have done classes as small as 5 for advanced placement. We try to get, you know, 7 to 10, but we try to give as many opportunities as we can. Sometimes, like with the art class, we're able to combine it with another advanced art class. So in that case, there are only 4 students in that class, but we're able to give them that opportunity by combining it with another art class.
Okay. Are there any questions? If not, this is an action item, and I will call for a motion to address agenda item number 18 as presented by Amanda. Is there a motion?
I'll make the motion. Jason Yannick.
Jason, okay, thank you. The motion's been made by Jason. Is there a second?
Second.
I think that's Kenny's voice. Okay, very good. All those in favor of the motion as presented, please show of your hands. 7-0. Okay, thank you. Agenda item number 19 is an action item. Also, it's consideration and possible action by the board to approve the resolution to amend the West ISD District of Innovation, the DOI plan, is approved on May the 10th of 2017 and amended on April the 8th of 2020. Note, the purpose of this action is related to the district's request to allow an exemption from the Texas Education Agency, also known as the TEA, for extended flexibility under Texas Education Code 37.081, Subtitle A, School District Peace Officers, School Resource Officers, and Security Personnel and related West ISD Board policies, CKE Legal, CKEA Legal. All right, Mr. Truitt's going to talk to us about this.
Yes, as you know, we have 3 phases of our new safety and security plan on the agenda tonight. This is the first one I'm going to present because, as you know, it's going to take some reworking of the district innovation plan that we approved on May 10th, 2017. And as you know, we recently amended it for our insurance plan as well. So this will be the second amendment to the original plan. And if you'll think back to my presentations, this is all about arming our Paladin security officers from December 2020 through May 2021. Remember, we're trying to phase out the Paladin plan, but we'd like to have them still armed for the remainder of the year. And the only way to do that is to ask for an exemption, as you can see in those bullet points right there in the middle of the screen, from Texas Education Code 37.081A, and then board policy CKE Legal and CKEA Legal. And so remember, this was recommended by our attorney, Joey Moore, to complete this process to ensure that both officers would be able to legally carry firearms on our campuses. As a reminder, the way the DOI works, you approve this resolution through this amendment tonight. And remember, I have to post it for 30 days. And then at the December board meeting, we have to hold a public hearing before you can approve it. And so think of it as 30 days of comment and questions. And then we'll have an agenda item for any last questions. And then you would approve this amendment to the plan. And then I submit it by letter to the TEA Commissioner, Mr. Morath. And then they post it to the DOI website that TEA has up. And that's all it takes. And then we would submit another letter to West PD and the Paladin, and that would get the guys back with the firearms on their belts. So are there any questions I can answer before you approve this amendment to be posted? That's the way to look at it tonight, because you're not approving it until the December meeting. This is the resolution time.
Any questions? If not, the floor is open for a motion to address agenda item number 19 as presented as a resolution, as indicated by Mr. Truitt. Okay, I heard Lee say she's made the motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, I think that was Kenny. Okay, all those in favor, please show of hands. Again, the screen's not where I can see everybody, so. 7-0. Yeah. Okay, thank you. All right. Agenda item number 20 is an action item also, and you have a memo that goes along with this. Consideration of possible action by the board to adopt the resolution authorizing the formation of the West ISD Guardian Program. Also, Mr. Truitt's going to present that.
All right, this is the second item that there'll be no action on tonight, just because of me being out of the office. The reason is there's 3 board policies in this resolution there in the middle of the page, CKC, DH, and JKA, that I did not include in your packets. And so in addition to approving this resolution, since it says that I presented these policies to you, which I did not do, and they're not on the agenda, we're going to have to wait till December to do this resolution. But it's okay. It doesn't throw us off any timeline. Remember, this was another piece along with the new police department that we wanted a second layer. The trainings wouldn't be till this summer. We have plenty of time to get the thing. So what you'll see on the December agenda is the resolution plus the plan and these 3 policies. So it just means instead of breaking it up over 2 meetings, we'll do it all at one, so we can get that done. So on this one, no action, and it'll be on the December board meeting with these 3 board policies.
All right, great. Thank you. Thank you very much. Okay. Agenda item number 21 is an action item. It's consideration of possible action by the board to adopt the resolution approving the formation of the West ISD Police Department. Mr. Truitt will also inform us of this.
All right, this one we can do. So let me pull up this resolution, and like our Chromebook landmark celebration, this is another one for me and you guys. I know support this decision as we move forward with the best way that we can support and protect our students and staff on our campuses. As a reminder, in this resolution, and there'll be many more steps, but this is step 1, is that you read the letter that I sent to Mayor Mushka and West PD. I sent that to you guys. And in working with Joey Moore, the very first step and from her presentation was approving this resolution, this formation, the kickoff, all the next steps. So tonight I'm seeking your approval for us to begin the journey over the next few months and to get this one out of the way, that we've got to get the resolution done and signed off on. That is in step 1 for a new police department in West. Did we lose Larry?
I think we lost him. Yeah.
I think we did. Yeah, screen went black.
Yeah, let's give him a minute.
Yeah.
Can we take a break without the president suggesting it?
Yeah, I just have to document it. Don't we, David?
Yes. Yeah, last time with how long it took him to get on, this is probably a good time to just take a break here.
So it's 8:24.
Let me call him.
Yeah,
I'll call him.
He's completely off the list now, so it dropped him.
Yeah, let me call him. So why don't we, it's 8:23. Why don't we just take a quick break, and let me call Larry and see about getting him back on, and let's plan on being back at, let's just say 8:05. Let's do 10 minutes because it may take a little time like it did at the start of the meeting. All right. So everybody will mute, and let me get him back on.
Dr. Sparks, are you back? I can't hear you. I think you're on mute.
Yeah.
Oh, how are you doing?
Oh, technology's wonderful.
Yay, he's back. Good. I tried calling, but it went to voicemail.
Well, the hotspot, again, I've been in quarantine, so I don't have any of my stuff here. So my phone had whatever charge it had on it. So.
Oh, it went down?
Yep.
Yep.
Bring me up to date. Where are we?
We're on a break. We were trying to get you back on. So you have 5 more minutes. We said 8:35.
We're on a break till 8:35.
Yes, sir.
All right.
But we did not approve the Chapter 37 resolution.
Hey, Mr. Truitt, Mike, can you hear me? Mike,
Yeah, sorry, JJ.
Can you, Mr. Truitt, how did you get, I'm trying to figure out how, Mike's trying to figure out how to get to gallery view.
See, I only see you talking. That's all I see.
If you hover your mouse on the Zoom screen in the top right corner, it gives you options. Put your little arrow key at the top.
Okay.
And you can do speaker view or gallery view.
You might just stay up there. They don't go away.
So on my little picture in the right-hand corner.
Are you on a phone or a laptop?
I'm on my laptop.
Yeah, up in the right-hand corner, it says gallery view, or you can do speaker view. You can click on either one.
I don't know if maybe
There should be a box up at the top right-hand corner next to the minutes. Do you guys see the minutes clicking away up there?
I do not. I do not.
Do you see the exit full screen key?
I think I got
that. It's right next to that. No?
There's my exit full screen key. Okay, I'm there now. It's in the right corner.
Yeah.
Yeah, right there should be, right next to that, it should be, it looks like 3 dots over a rectangle.
It's not showing it on the screen.
Huh.
Huh. Wonder if I got it maximized now where I don't have my header or anything.
But that's where it is.
Let me try.
Like on mine, I see like 3 buttons. I see speaker view, settings, and exit full screen, and that top right corner you're looking. But mine don't ever stay up there all the time.
Yeah, I got a little box up there that I can maximize and minimize. This is like I'm talking, you were talking, and I can see your picture.
Yeah.
When you're talking.
That's bizarre.
Yeah. Well, let me see if I can just find it over here.
And you actually click on the gallery view, or you click on the speaker view, or you click on the whatever to make it stay.
Are you still using Windows 95?
Am I using what?
Windows 95. That's a joke.
Yeah, I don't know what I'm using. I knew that was a joke.
That's an IT joke, Mike.
Yeah.
Maybe an IT joke, but up until recently, I was still using that, and it does work even with that one.
Only nerds like me and Mr. Truitt and Dr. Crowder would laugh at that.
That's so wrong, man.
Hey, own it. Own the nerdiness.
I'm a cool nerd.
Live with one. I'm not surprised.
Yeah,
This is not surprising.
We the cool nerds.
Yeah, I like to think I'm a cool nerd.
Absolutely.
I just got a new computer, and I am absolutely hating it after having the same one in the same programs for 11 years. Driving me crazy.
You're a Tandy 1000? Oh, how about that, Jason?
Not that bad.
That's a blast in the past.
Radio Shack special.
How about
Radio
the apples with the clear thingy and the turquoise bottom, or the whatever the colors they were?
The Apple TV.
Yes, that's what we had in schools.
That's what my school had too.
Yeah, yeah. And just so you know, I was the first employee first teacher in Waco ISD to have a computer in her classroom.
That's cool.
100 years ago.
Oh.
Made the front page of the Trib because of it.
Well, Crowder's used to using an abacus, so I'm not sure about this computer.
I'm still using DOS.
Yeah.
The abacus still works.
Yep. When I was in school, they had abacuses. Abacus.
It's 8:35 now, guys. Let's get started again. All right, the action item, consideration possible action by the board to adopt the resolution approving the formation of the West ISD Police Department. That's when I dropped off.
I move the adoption of that resolution.
All right, motion's been made. Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor, please show of hands. All right, thank you very much. 7-0. All right, it is 8:35. This time we will convene into a closed executive session pursuant to Texas Government Code Chapter 551071, 551129, and 551074, and 551072. And you have another Zoom location to go to that. So
Let's see if we can all get there.
meet you on the other side.
See y'all there.
Maybe.
All right, Miss Adams, keep this one up and stop the recording, and then we'll come back on here. I'll text you.
Can we stay on this one and open another window up for the other one? Or do you got to get out of it completely? Have you ever tried that? I
Yeah,
can hear you.
it didn't work for me.
It didn't work?
No, you have to get out of this one. and go to the
I was just trying because I have really been
wish.
struggling with this.
Yes, I know it.
Okay, I'm gonna X y'all out right now. Bye.
All right. Good luck, Mike.
Bye.
Ready to go. It's now 9:28. At this time, we'll reconvene from closed executive session for possible action relative to the items considered during our closed executive session. Mr. Truitt, we're going to turn it over to you.
Thank you, board members. I'm on 23A. The first item is to seek your approval for the personnel report as presented. Remember, it was the 3 employees that I discussed during executive closed session.
I'll make the motion.
Motion's been made. Is there a second?
Second.
Motion's been made by Jason, seconded by Kenny. All those in favor, please show of hands. It's 7-0. Okay.
All right, next is 23B. Tonight, I'm seeking your approval for a contract for Lexi Mailer as the developmental teacher at West Elementary School.
Floor is open for a motion to that effect.
So moved.
Mike's made the motion.
Second.
Holly is seconded. All those in favor, please show of hands. Okay, 7-0. Okay.
And then 23B, tonight I'm seeking your approval with great glee for the community involvement stipend plan of $250 for 211 employees.
Okay, floor is open for the motion.
So moved.
Holly's made the motion. Who's second?
Second.
I'll second.
Jason second. Okay, all those in favor, show of hands.
Larry, don't forget, I think Crowder and Sikora are abstaining.
Okay,
Yeah, abstaining.
that's right.
I vote 2
5.
abstentions.
Yep. 5 with 2 abstentions.
Now, that's going to be a surprise. I guess they'll have to watch this video for to find out the dollar amount, but let's try to keep it a surprise. All right, and then closing remarks. I gave you the district calendar reminders in the email. The main one I wanted to reiterate is Wednesday, December 9th is the regular board meeting at 6:30. Still to be determined if it'll be Zoom or in person. We'll just see where things are. On 24B, there's 4 of you and the list is on my desk at the office. So 4 of you still need to do the cybersecurity required training. And so as soon as I can get, I'll ask Sandra to maybe take a picture of the list and text me and let you know. You should have the email from Mr. Crow, but it was a while back. And so we're going to resend it. And I just wanted to make sure you were on the same page. It's super easy. It just takes 15 minutes to do the training. There's 2 parts to it, but you have to do it at the requirement. So I'll get with you on that. And then the last one, the Lone Star auction, I'm going to email you tomorrow a list. Last time I told you about the auction, we were only doing the vehicles. And Mr. Norris has brought me a list of things for you to review. And I know I've said this before, but I hope it's finally true. The last of the stuff from the explosion that's still in storage at the Trodome and around the Trodome, they'd like to add to the car auction. So Lone Star will do it all. But as board policy states, I got to give you the list of what those things are for your review. And so I'll email it to you. And if you have any questions or if any of you want to come see the cars or the items, they're all laid out on the lawn in the concrete just north of the gym. They're facing Street. So we can give you a tour even if you want to see what all the things are. But the guys have said it's just been sitting there. They can't use it. They won't use it. And so just want to give you notification of what those items are. So look for that email and let me know if you'd like to come see it. It doesn't take your approval. I just have to notify you what we're auctioning.
Hey, somebody had brought up about possibly keeping one of the vehicles for our police department. Are we did we consider that more, or do we just let that roll?
It's still not in the auction, but it can be added. If you'll remember, part of that discussion was we need to see if it's suitable for that versus buying used. I remember Mr. Skora even mentioned that Baylor sometimes sells their police cars used and would come with some of the things, lights and the radio systems and those things maybe that we'd have to add to the vehicles we own. So it's just a matter of looking at that. But right now, the vehicle you're mentioning, Lee, is not in the auction. So it's still under consideration. And we were keeping it anyway because the tech guys have been needing an expedition on hand to transport Chromebooks and things in. So we decided if we have to do that one, we can do it later anyway, because there's a need for it right now.
Yep.
So right now it's the tech guy vehicle, the Techmobile.
David, up there behind the maintenance building, there's pallets of things and pipe and all that kind of stuff. Is that our stuff, or is that?
That if you're talking about our auction items, I think that's what is on the pallets. So that's the stuff they're putting out for auction and review. So those are the items that that'll be in this list I'm sending out. And Essential asked last time, we have an agreement now with the dirt pile. They claim they're going to use almost all of it, and we'll even haul off all the junk. So we'll see if that happens or not. If not, again, we'll still take it back behind the high school. I thought it was worth it if they'd take all that junk.
Remind me who they is, the city or the people doing the road construction?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Yeah. And we priced, this is where each of these decisions sometimes have a price tag. We priced to have the junk removed and the concrete pieces and the wood and the trash that's all in there. They were going to charge us $15,000. And so when they said that they'd haul it off if they could use the dirt, and I was like, yes, please. And so we'll just see where that ends up.
That's good.
Get done with the streets.
Good deal.
Perfect.
Great. Any other remarks? Anybody have any questions?
Nope. Thanks for transitioning the Zoom on such short notice. I'm sorry I didn't have everything ready with my illness. And I know I had to send you a lot of stuff in that email. So sorry about all those attachments. So thank you for being flexible.
All right.
No problem. We hope you feel better, Truett.
Yep.
Yes.
Thank you.
We appreciate all your hard work when you didn't feel like it.
Yes. Agreed.
Yes.
I'm going to pass out after the meeting here. I'm sure. I'm kidding. No, I'm fine, really.
Stay hydrated.
Yeah. Drink plenty of fluids, take your vitamin D. Floor is open for a motion to adjourn this meeting.
I'll make the motion.
The motion.
Jay's got it.
Ollie seconds it. All right.
Oh, that's
All those in favor of adjourning, raise your hand. All right, good deal. David, hope you get to feeling better.
Thank you. I appreciate you guys.
All right.
Everyone stay healthy. Good night.
Everybody.